Okay, so in this video, we're going to check out what went down with that Anthony Albanese and Donald Trump.
Welcome back. Well, between a new critical minerals deal assurance over AUKUS and a presidential trip down under in the pipeline, it's safe to say Anthony Albanese came out of his first formal meeting with Donald Trump pretty unscathed.
And the Prime Minister joins us now live from Washington D.C. to discuss, and who's a happy camper, PM?
Good.
Before we jump in, this is your first time to my channel and you like these videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think or how the Prime Minister went with his meeting with Donald Trump. First one, it was a long wait for a lot of people. I think perfectly timed with the with everything that's sort of going on in terms of trade. It kind of sounds like, just from social media and stuff like that, that yeah, he did a pretty good job. So let's sort of see what the outcomes were. Share with me what you guys think.
Morning. Well, it's a beautiful day here in Washington D.C. and we've had a busy couple of days, I've got to say, and not much sleep, but lots of really important meetings, the most important of which was with President Trump, where we came out with an $8.5 billion deal on critical minerals and rare earths. That's about Australian jobs. It's about making more things between Australia and the United States. It's about our economic resilience. We've confirmed the overwhelming support for AUKUS, and we'll do what we can to fast track some of that rollout. And we got on very well. I spent almost 3 hours with the President, and then I had important meetings with the Treasury Secretary Besson. We had dinner last night with the Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his team from the State Department. I've met with dozens of members of Congress today. It's all gone very well.
It was hit and run, right? You got so much done and there was so much build-up and anticipation ahead of this meeting. Were you yourself a bit nervous? I mean, the outcome seemed pretty set. All the documents were drawn up in that cabinet room, but anything can happen with Donald Trump.
Look, I've had such warm discussions with the President, and we had a warm meeting in New York with Jody and Melania being present there as well. I always thought it was going to go very well. The letter of invitation I had from President Trump couldn't have been warmer, and he's a friend of Australia. One of the things about us Australians are we just deal with people. We don't talk down to people, we don't talk up to people, we engage in a real way, in an authentic way. That's the way that I went into the meeting, and President Trump and I got on very well. We had a couple of discussions in the Oval Office.
Sort of like a sort of, when you look at like the past, ever since Albanese got into office, really, or won the election, sorry, talking about this meeting with Trump, and there was just so much, of the conversation was around, needs to do it, and then like slagging him just based on like hasn't secured it yet, he's weak and blah blah blah. But then like when Trump said, they've been talking heaps in like past 4 or 5 months, kind of sounds like everything was really good, and then obviously he gets to the White House and everything's all good. Watching that meeting, Albo kind of held himself very well. He didn't stumble. He didn't say anything stupid. He wasn't too outraged. He didn't try to be like Trump. He didn't, I think he just kind of really held his composure. And I think I even said that with it was just after the Israel bombing in Gaza or Iran. That's right. It was the Iran one. And everyone wanted Albo to basically speak about it straight away, and it's just like for a conflict that we're not directly involved in, sometimes sitting back and just seeing how people react and making sure that when you do speak, you are like you're representing Australia. So when you do speak, make sure that things are said correctly. We're not over committing, we're not under committing, that sort of stuff. And then he ended up getting I think the statements were actually quite well done, and it kind of seemed to flow on with President Trump's meeting as well. It just kind of seemed to be good. We're not sort of so extreme as the US, so it was kind of I think he did a really, really good job And obviously securing these deals is, you got in there, he got some answers, and he's out. What more could you want? I feel like, I hope people praise him on this.
We had a walk around the grounds, looking at what he's doing with building the ballroom. That's going to be in place there. And it was a terrific meeting. Can't have gone better.
All right. There was one element of it, of course. Geez, you gave Kevin Rudd up quick. He's over there, President.
Oh, well, that was, people focus on, well, it said something about the sort of suggestion.
I think as well, so this is, I don't know if you sort of saw my last video or not, but, Australians, I think the amount of time that you sort of, you take a dig at someone, or I think it's kind of very, very natural. And it's a kind of a very Australian sense of humour. As anyone sort of walking on the streets and you see someone dodgy and you say to your mate, oh, is that your dad? Or you'd be like, oh, hey, dad. And then you'd look around and you kind of just give a little bit of shit talk in that. And I think that's quite natural. Or you, you're on the phone, your mate's on the phone to his missus, and you just say something something stupid oh yeah, no, we're coming in from the strippers now, and then you say it out loud to basically just stir the pot sort of thing. I think that's kind of similar to what that's how I read that interaction. That was a bit of an extreme example, but you know what I mean. I hope hopefully the demographic watch of this is males in that way. But yeah, that's where I kind of feel like that was anyway.
Suggestion somehow that there was this big issue with Kevin Rudd. There's no reason why ambassadors don't meet leaders. I don't meet with ambassadors, and nor does President Trump.
That's key because I'm sort of starting to see some things come out now saying why isn't Rudd spending more time with Trump? Why is the Australian ambassador, why hasn't he met Trump so many times, et cetera, et cetera. And the PM just kind of said it then he's not out meeting ambassadors here in Australia as much. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, I think more or less it just goes to show that what I'm sort of hearing now is that Rudd needs to be appreciated a bit more for his work in the US. But, that could just be because it's the Labour Party, you know what I mean? Liberals might say something different. I'm sure some Sky News stuff we'll watch later on will cover that.
I'll tell you what, though, Kevin Rudd has met every single member of Congress, I think, and he is well liked on the Hill.
PM, I don't think anyone...
He gets things done.
Yes, and I don't think anyone doubts the amount of groundwork that he did and just how much he actually achieved. But being in that room, PM, it must have been so awkward.
Oh no, it was pretty light-hearted, was what it was. And President Trump said, all is forgiven. He volunteered that. Kevin said, sorry about comments in the past, and they moved on, and we spent time after that in the Oval Office. It says something about how important Australia places our relationship with the United States, that we've appointed a former Prime Minister. That says something about the status that is important, and that's recognised by all of the people who Kevin Rudd deals with now as ambassador.
Were you there when he apologised to the President? What did he say, and what was the aftermath of that?
Yeah, the President said, was as people were walking out the journos, President Trump said, he said he looks like a good guy, or something like a nice guy, and I said, he is a nice guy, he's terrific, something like that, and he said, all is forgiven. Kevin said, yeah, well, sorry, it was no big deal.
Flippant.
Sounds like it's a family barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So I guess he's staying then.
Yeah.
It is all good. You bet he is. Yeah, we've appointed him for 4 years, and he's doing a fantastic job. And I think it's a bit sad, frankly, that the opposition, with these really serious things happening for our national security, with the AUKUS agreement, the critical minerals deal, means jobs, economic activity, and they, of course, they had a choice: back in the national interest or play politics. And of course, they played politics, as they tend to do. That's life. That's a decision for them. Maybe eventually they'll back the national interest on something. I await.
Look, there was quite a bit on your list to get done.
They have to stop fighting each other, though.
That's true. Look, you had to throw that in there, didn't you? But listen, there was a big list for you to get through over there with the US President. Obviously, tariffs, you didn't quite get to changing that deal at all in any way to favour Australia. But you did invite Donald Trump to Australia. How does that look like? Is that likely to happen?
Well, he was very positive about it. He's got an open invitation to visit Australia. He's positive about Australians. He likes us. He engages with us. He knows how important the relationship is. We have been side by side for a long time now. It was another Labor Prime Minister, John Curtin, who during World War II said, we look to America. And that was our darkest hour. And we've been side by side before then, of course, in the First World War and and other times, but America is a big investor in Australia, a big source of investment.
Imagine if Trump does come to Australia. Imagine if there was a March for Australia protest scheduled on that same day, and then that video that Chris Cullen? Sorry for butchering the name, but he was basically at the front, screaming for him. I think that would get his attention more than the video idea, but that would definitely rattle the cage. I mean, you have to get a permit to protest anyway, so they'll probably just get denied, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if that, but then that would, imagine the backlash from that. That's a thought.
Major investors here in the United States as well. I've just been to an event at the embassy celebrating BHP's 140 years, and we had the secretary responsible for industry there as well speaking. So the relationship is really in good shape, and it can't have been more positive.
Geez, I'd love you're about to pack up and come home. You can't give us a cooey to the White House.
Yes, do it.
Get across there. Well, there's a lot. What you can't see off camera is I'm not standing alone here in the park, let me tell you.
All the better, go on.
Albo's a security threat. Hey, great, well done on everything. It's a huge deal for this country, and a lot of work went on behind the scenes, so appreciate it. Safe travels.
Yeah, thanks so much. Always great to talk to you, particularly at this time early. It reminds me of those Friday mornings we used to spend together, Carl.
He's getting nostalgic.
I know, he's getting nostalgic.
I look back longingly at those days.
You're standing in front of the White House. Why would you look back to those days?
He's cut off.
Don't interrupt the PM set. All right.
Yeah, I didn't say they were better than the current days. I just said I remember them. I look back to them.
Good to see you, PM. Safe travels.
Nice to see you. Thanks.
All right. That was good.
On the 17th of January this year.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know how you guys think that went. I think Albo did a pretty good job. Obviously, you can't tackle all issues, but in terms of AUKUS, good that we're getting the go ahead. I feel like with the AUKUS stuff, AUKUS. I've done some videos previously on AUKUS. I feel like it has to go ahead. And for anyone that's sort of into the nuclear side of things, having AUKUS progress would mean that more expertise in nuclear would most likely advance, which is very good for Australia if people want nuclear to be a part of the energy mix. It does increase the collaboration between Australia and the US in terms of defense, and brings in a lot of money, brings in a lot of jobs. It's a long-term project too, so that's good as well. I feel like AUKUS is a good way forward. Trump wasn't particularly forceful on the spending a higher percentage of GDP, or they didn't want Australia to increase, for what I could see, any more investment. So that's good. The rare earth thing, that's a good thing too. That's setting some good future collaboration with the US too. So I think it's overall it's been really, really good. I guess what I am concerned about is I don't think everything that Trump says is always what happens, and I feel like what you see from a lot of the post reports on the matter is, we're all good now. Like everything with AUKUS is fine, everything with rare earths is fine, like all this sort of stuff. But there's been too many times where what Trump has actually said in these meetings don't actually end up being the reality of it, because although he sits behind the the desk and stuff like that, there's still a lot of people that you have to go through to get these deals done. And the amount of times that he's said some things that just have been so incredibly wrong, it's just hard to know what he says, if what he says is accurate. So it's kind of everything's all good, full steam ahead, but proceed with caution, I think, is the outcome from that. The fact that Albo was able to get in there, make these deals, and then be able to come back with no negative feedback, I think is a really, really good win for Australia, and it's a really good win for the current government. But obviously there's the huge issue with immigration still to tackle. Net zero's got to tackle. But hey, looks like that tick in the box is done. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Share what you think, where you think we're going to be going on from here. Okay, that concludes the live. Thanks for joining in, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.